Thomas, critics said the stimulus was too expensive and didn't create enough jobs. Recent polls show that most Americans surveyed said they opposed the stimulus and don't believe that it did in fact create jobs. So 1 year later, we're taking a look. Where do we stand now? How has our area benefited from the spending of stimulus dollars? And will there be a second stimulus? A lot of questions. We're hopefully going to have some answers. Joining me to talk about it, U.S. Representative Joe Sestak, a supporter of last year's stimulus package, and Professor Jack Worrell, a professor of economics at Rutgers-Camden. Now, we did invite Senator Arlen Specter to join us, but he was not able to make it. Gentlemen, thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
I'm going to start with you, Congressman. You did say right off the bat that you thought the stimulus should have even been more than $800 million. I think you said $1 trillion. Looking back now, do you still agree that it should have been more money?
Without a question. The stimulus bill, which should have been called the slow the hemorrhaging of jobs bill, because we had been torpedoed and the ship was sinking, actually did work. A year ago, we were losing 850,000 jobs a month, this month, a year ago. Well, last month, 12 months later, we only lost 20,000, still intense. But if we had added in about $200 billion in small business tax incentives and guaranteed community bank loans, we would now, instead of just being at about 10% unemployment, a little less, we'd be starting a sustainable expansion much more rapidly. That little bit of kick should have been in there. But did it work? Yes. It was an unnecessary evil.
All right, let me bring you a Professor Worrell. Some economists agree with that. Where do you stand?
Well, there's quite a bit of controversy. I agree, though, with the tax credit point. I think it would have helped. I think the stimulus should have been targeted more to job creation, and I think the new bill attempts to do that. I have no doubt, though, that it helped. I suspect the unemployment rate would have been 0.8% higher if we hadn't had stimulus.
Jobs are such a big deal. In fact, here at Fox 29, we had a jobs fair, and more than 6,200, almost 6,300 people, I believe, showed up for that. Obviously, Americans really want to know about jobs, and a lot of people are thinking, hey, the stimulus money didn't really bring a lot of jobs. A lot of Americans are still out of work. Now talk about a second stimulus, sort of a jobs-focused stimulus. Is this the answer? Is this going to get people back to work?
Without a question, we have to do two things. One is, for example, if we were to give, according to the Economic Institute, a 15% tax credit for every payroll new addee to a job for a small business, we would actually create over 2.5 years 5 million jobs. And we've got to soak up 11 million, 8 million lost, and so many more people who have now graduated. So that's where we need to focus. Small businesses, which normally create 80% of all jobs. And so that's what the key for the next step is.
Now, there is criticism out there of Democratic Party plans that favor so-called tax and spend methods. Why not extend tax cuts and make a more business-friendly climate?
Well, I think we should. For example, small businesses should be able to have what we did in the economic stimulus bill is write off their losses back to the profitable years to get a tax cut back. But remember this, we wanted to not place more taxes upon people, but we have to remember that we've got a national debt. 53%, we've got about 53% of a national debt owned by a foreign country. So what we have to begin doing is begin to have, and go back to what happened in 2001, when they threw out the window, pay as you go.
And in our last 15 seconds, I want to give you a chance, Professor Worrell, to have some final thoughts here.
Well, the deficit is a major issue, and we are going to pay for some of these jobs with lower growth in the future. Be that as it may, there are 500,000 people unemployed in Pennsylvania and 250,000 in Philly, and taking action now is required.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. And as we head over to Thomas, I do want to read this statement. Pennsylvania U.S. Senate candidate Pat Toomey released the statement today that says the 1-year anniversary of the so-called stimulus measure marks a sad day for the people of Pennsylvania. The American people want common sense policies and reforms instead of larger government, higher taxes, and unsustainable deficits. The discussion goes on. Thomas, over to you.